I'm going to cover DMS and hypertension case finding service with a real focus on some of the issues that we're seeing locally. Next slide, please. So starting with the DMS, really important message in this slide is that DMS is an essential service. It must be provided by all pharmacies. It's not optional. There's no get out of jail free card on this one. You've got to do it. We are aware that some trusts are not yet making referrals, but work is underway to get these trusts live over the next 6 months or so. So you may start to see an increase in some areas of the number of referrals that you receive. Looking at the data, we do know that some, on rare occasions, there are some referrals for patients that are not eligible, and that you need to reject those back to the referring trusts. If you do have any ongoing problems with that, please do let us know and we can feed that information back in. The aims are there on the screen, but with DMS in summary, the aims are to reduce medicines related harm for patients when they're discharged from hospital, and that involves working with everybody. It involves working with the patient, the hospital pharmacy team, GP practices, PCNs and practice pharmacists as well. Next slide, please. So as a contractor, as we've been saying all through the webinar so far, all services should be a team effort. It's really important that everybody gets involved. There's a role for everybody to improve outcomes for patients and to maximise the funding for your pharmacies. It's really important that your staff know the services you provide and their role in the delivery of them. So with DMS, like we've been saying earlier, it's really important that pharma outcomes is being regularly checked, and pick somebody in your team who you know is going to be diligent, who you know is going to actually do the task, and you know it's going to nag you until it's done. Very easy to forget in a busy day that you've been told to do something, other things happen. Get somebody in your team who's going to keep reminding you to do that, and really work with those people to maximise delivery of your services. They need to keep alerting you all the way through until those initial stage ones are completed, and that must be within 72 hours. Next slide. Oh no, sorry, keep on that slide, Alison. Sorry, missed a bit on there. Sorry. We do recommend you've got a place. You recommend you have a system in place so you know when stage 2 and stage 3 are completed. Lots of different ways of doing that, and I'm sure you'll all find your own ways to do it. But some people prefer paper-based systems where you've got something really visible to you. And others may prefer flag on a PMR or just regularly reviewing any partially saved provisions in pharma outcomes. Like we said, DMS can be provided by locums and relief pharmacies. There's no excuse at all not to do it. And any failure to deliver this being an essential service is a breach of your NHS terms of service. So really important, if you don't want to be referred at some point to the Pharmaceutical Services Regs Committee for a breach notice, really important that you're reviewing your referrals and you are completing them. The programme team, like we said, are monitoring those now, and they will be in touch with you if you've got referrals that have not been started initially as a prompt, and just to try and help you out. As we said, the LPC are here to support, so please do get in touch if you've got any problems, issues, concerns, questions, and we're more than happy to help. Next slide, please, Alison. So looking at the 3 stages of DMS, the really important message here is that DMS is a 3-stage service, and the expectation is that you complete all 3 stages. We know there's occasions where a patient may have change of circumstances following a stage 1, such as a return to hospital or moves out of the area, but every effort should be made to complete all 3 stages. And a quick summary of them are that stage 1 is your discharge referral being received in the pharmacy. You're going to check you've not got any outstanding prescriptions in the system. Stage 2, the first prescriptions received following discharge, and you're going to do a check against the discharge summary and highlight any discrepancies there to the GP. And stage 3 is where the patient's understanding of their medicines checked and any other services are provided alongside. And that could just be a return of unwanted meds, or it could be an NMS. At that point, you'll communicate any issues back to the GP. What we currently see with the DMS service is that pharmacies in general are quite good at completing stage 1, but completion rates at stage 2 and stage 3 tend to drop off considerably, with a very small number of patients really getting through all 3 stages at this time. As you can probably guess from the stage 3 requirements, that's a really important part from a patient safety point of view. It reduces harm, it reduces hospital admissions, And some of the trusts are now looking in the data in quite a lot of detail and trying to identify where the problem points are, either within the hospital or within general practice. So it is really important that we try and get through all of those stages. Next slide, please, Alison. Thanks. So looking at recording of information, the survey should be recorded on farm outcomes. Ideally, recording that at the time of each provision of each stage. There's a partial save function that's been built in, so that makes it quite easy for you. And those partially saved referrals will stay at the top of your services screen within farm outcomes, so they can easily be retrieved for the subsequent stage 2 and stage 3. Next slide, please. So looking now at the 3 referral responses, and this is quite important across all services, but with DMS, you've got the 3 options there. You've got complete now, and that is where you can accept the referral and you're going to intend to complete that stage 1 straight away. The second is the accept, where you acknowledge receipt of the referral in farm outcomes and it's in a pending state prior to completion of the stage 1. And just remember, with that, you need to go back and complete it within the 72 hours. And that's the bit that's really helpful, as Alison mentioned, to the programme team, so they know that you've seen the referral and that you intend to do something about it. And the final option is to return. It's the way you want to reject the referral, and it'll send the notification to the hospital confirming the reason for rejection. So please do ensure you select the correct rejection reason from the drop-down menu, and you add any additional notes as required. Next slide, please. Here are some of the rejection messages that we've seen. So these are actual things that are being written into the rejection messages that have gone back to the trust. And we just wanted to highlight here some of the things that maybe that could have been done differently for these particular patients. So the first one we've got there is don't do DMS. As I've already said, it's an essential service. It's not one that you can opt out of. So the pharmacy there should have been completing their DMSs. The next one is patient is in a care home. This isn't a reason not to do a DMS. If the patient would benefit, then the referral should be completed in the usual way. Outside of 72 hours is one that we see occasionally. Again, as we've said, it's really important that a member of the pharmacy team is reviewing farm outcomes throughout the day and alerting the pharmacist, so that stage 1 is definitely completed within the required timelines. The next one is the patient is not registered here and has never received any care from our pharmacy. What we would like you to do in these kind of situations is to try and find out which pharmacy the patient does use and make an onward referral to that pharmacy if you can. A really common one is the not a tray or blister pack at patients. DMS is not a blister pack only service. Although we do know that some trusts have prioritised that patient group for referrals. Pharmacy staff at the hospital are going to assess if patients will benefit from a DMS, and that could be for any reason. Common ones are high-risk medicines, non-adherence, 5 or more meds, elderly, confused, frail, but they don't have to be a blister pack patient. And the final one that we've put on there tonight is orders own medicines. In this case, a DMS should have been completed. Prescription ordering isn't relevant to the delivery of the DMS service. Next slide, please. And on to the final slide for DMS. I'm hoping that all of you are already aware of this, but I thought it was worth adding in because it was life-changing for me at the pharmacy that I work at. This is around claiming for DMS. We know that farm outcomes doesn't currently link to NYS for the service, and that transfer of data is frustrating. We know that some of you are doing the work and not making claims at the end of the month, and you're missing out there on valuable income for work that you've done. So what farm outcomes have done to help while the IT integration is sorted is provide a separate report that you can pull each month from the reports tab. And this summarises the info that you need to transfer into NYS. It does make the process much quicker. So if you aren't already using this report, please do have a look. It's really simple. Firstly, click on the reports tab. Look for the local bespoke reports in the orange section on the left. Click on the DMS manual claim report, select the month you want. It'll run the report in a few seconds, and then you can just use that report to copy and paste across to NYS. So do give that a try, really worth doing.